Right.
And it starts personal with how we can have a dear friend that we know is being abusive to his children and to his wife.
Right.
And how he talked to him, how he looks at him. He's just into that power and control.
Right.
And we like this guy. And we can see this stuff. And most men will not have the ability to say, hey, man, what's going on with you? What's going on?
Well, the thing about this is hurt people, right? People aren't willing to apply that to then the abusive man. He doesn't get that. And so how do we then, because I see it too, and and so when I'm having conversations with these men, coming around to that, because I think the big thing is that while those men are coming off big and scary and bear-like, it's really coming from a place of fear.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right.
So talk to me a little bit about that. Like what's your experience with how to start having these conversations, or without putting them into defensive, right? Because depending on how you approach it, that could be the end of the relationship, and then it causes even more of a problem.
And I think that's the problem that causes men not to take that step to address it with their friend, because they don't want to catch that heat coming back at them. Right. And we got to be able to stand flat-footed and say, hey, man, I care about you. Now, I do more. It's more than care about you. I love you. You were the best man in my wedding. I'm the godfather of your children.
Right.
And what I'm seeing, I'm not happy with. Well, you just get out of my house. Get out of my house.
Right.
Because he knows that you done touched a button in him that he don't know himself how to fix.
Right.
And we got to be strong enough and anticipate that and say, no, I'm not going nowhere.
Well, how do we do that from a place of grace and love?
Yeah.
That doesn't turn into the accusatory aggressor.
Right, right.
That we so often, because I think the problem with men is we don't know how to regulate our emotions. And so therefore, when we feel that we need to put our foot down or protect a boundary, the only way to do it is with fight, flight, or freeze.
Right, right.
And that's one thing I don't like about our concept of boundaries. If the boundary is violated, then you have to abandon or exile.
Right, right.
And so I think really this comes back down to what's the relationship between men and the familiar, like all these male relationships. How do we start addressing the abandonment and exile? I've got friends right now that exactly what you talked about. It might not have been me being abusive.
Right.
It was something else that they were critical of me about. And they don't ask me what I'm dealing with or what I'm trying to solve by doing this. It becomes just you're doing this, you should be doing better. And if you can't figure it out, and I've got huge personally abandonment and exile wounds, which are, with something else. However, then what really then I get put in fear, and already in there I'm getting ready to be abandoned and exiled like always.
Yeah.
And then boom, then they stop talking. I get ghosted, and no one tells me exactly what it was.
Right.
We're unclear to the person. Say this is exactly what it is, and what they try to do then is impart intent and thought. You know what you did. It was your intent, and if it wasn't your intent, then screw you for not knowing it, because now you're not smart enough to figure that. And so it becomes this like really unhealthy, toxic way to then that when in the beginning what we're trying to do is just make things better.
Right.
Where do we start there? How do we start address? How do we? And we can't solve everything today.
Yeah.
What can we talk about that?
Well, what we're doing today, this podcast right here, and podcasts like this are going on all over the country now. And most, if unless a dude has lived in a cave all his life, he has heard bits and pieces about this type of conversation. And the more men that becomes. First, take acknowledgement that we got some things we can fix. If we can get past our own limitations, and having sessions like this to at least just talk about it. And most men understands what we're talking about, and they know people that need help. Right. And this has been a crusade for probably the past 30 years with these kind of conversations. We talk about this big term there, masculine, the masculinity issues that men are struggling with, and all kinds of things that have been around for a while now. And we're going to have to continue it and continue to give men, men talk about doing huddles now, all kinds of cool terms that we attached. The meeting that we were at last Friday, same thing. You see? So the more we can put men in circles like that, and and this is one of my hopes, and before the rest of my life, is to be able to get middle schools and high schools starting to address these kind of relational stuff with boys. If we can catch them at middle school and begin to stop having these kind of discussions, we can save a lot of boys before they get to high school.
How do
we got to stop.
How do we address